So the first Deadpool movie was a much-needed break from the very popular superhero genre. It offered some gory delight, some quick-witted humor that was all done in good fun in order to skewer what was becoming an increasingly tired formula, especially from Marvel Studios. And to the surprise of everybody involved, it made a lot of money. So a sequel was, of course, inevitable. And they honestly decided to bring for the sequel one of the two directors from the first John Wick film in order to deliver a more action-packed experience. And to its credit, Deadpool 2 certainly brings on the action, but can it deliver the humor? Let's talk about it. So, we have Wade Wilson returning once again as the infamous mercenary Deadpool, who can recover from any injury that he faces, including shots to the head, torso, loss of limb, you name it, he can survive it. And he's also got a pretty good relationship with his girlfriend from the last movie, Vanessa, played by Monica Baccarin. But the two now want to start having a baby, which poses a very interesting question for Wade because he doesn't really know what it means to be a father. Fortunately for him, opportunity presents itself when a troubled young teen named Russell becomes the target of the super powerful super soldier named Cable, who is half robot, has a glowy eye, and is also played by Josh Brolin. And Cable isn't messing around. He is no nonsense and he will tear Deadpool apart. And sure enough, he even does in one really badass action scene. So Wade figures that he's in way over his head, so he enlists the help of multiple superpower mutants in order to help him out. And together they form the mercenary group X-Force, comprising of Wade, Bedlam, played by Terry Crews, and Domino, played by Zazie Beetz. Yes, the name is derivative, and yes, they make jokes about it. Honestly, the jokes pretty much come a mile a second, and it's all in the film's favor. Some of the jokes don't really work all the time, but the ones that do really did get a good chuckle out of me, and the audience was practically rolling in their seats. Now, that whole superpower team-up that I'm referring to, that really doesn't come to play until the second half of the movie, even though all the trailers and marketing seem to be focused all about that. And for good reason, because it's also when the movie really gains its focus, both in terms of tone, narrative, and script, because the first 45 minutes of this film kind of bumbles around. It really doesn't know what it wants to do, and it also does a very unpopular narrative convention that I'm not going to spoil, but people who are fans of a unnamed 20th Century Fox property, this happened at the beginning of one of those movies, and people are still not over it. And with good reason, because it also robs many of the struggles that happened in the first film. Nonetheless, the first half of Deadpool 2 kind of dropped the ball because the story just doesn't really know what it wants to be about. At first it wants to be about Deadpool joining up with the X-Men, then it wants to be about Deadpool becoming a father figure to Russell, then it wants to be about Deadpool defending Russell from Cable. It's a convoluted mess of ideas that really doesn't gel into some serious focus in the latter half of the movie when the entire cast is firing on all cylinders, both in the action department, the comedy department, and the delivery department. Now, what's thankfully grounding the entire experience for me is Ryan Reynolds, who, if nothing else, is still a great comedic actor. He's got some solid timing, able to deliver on the farce, and is very, very charismatic. I mean, hell, he outshines in every single scene involving TJ Miller, and I hate that SOB, especially after his numerous sexual assault accusations that have every right to be accurate. And oh yeah, he also made that horrible Emoji movie, so yeah, definitely not forgiving him for that. But Reynolds still overpowers Miller's awfulness and is able to deliver some really solid laughs in a time where it's sorely needed in that first half. Helping him along is a much stronger supporting cast as well. most notably Zazie Beetz as Domino. Now, for those of you who don't know, Domino is a character who's just lucky. Yeah, that's her superpower. She's just lucky. But her luck is almost comical because she can basically fire a gun in a random direction, and by ricochets, coincidence, and random occurrences, it will meet its targets with almost amazing accuracy. Oh yeah, she can also just basically wander right into traffic and pretty much arrive where she's supposed to go, even if where she's supposed to go is blocked by multiple guards, armored trucks, and general chaos all surrounding her. And what's even most impressive is the fact that Zazie Beetz brings on a much comical, more casual, fun flair to the whole experience as Domino, which I really appreciated because the original comic version is so deadpan and is so super serious, badass action girl, number 48,643. The comic version isn't remotely as fun as the film version, and I really appreciate Zazie Beetz really bringing her A game to this material. What's also helping the cast out is Josh Brolin, who once again impresses people with his amazing charisma, cadence, and communicating a lot of information with such a little amount of dialogue. I mean, that's why you hire the dude in the first place, and he really sells the hell out of it. He's not a picture-perfect comic adaptation of the original Cable, and thank God for that because the original comic Cable is stupid. Yeah, fanboys can complain all they want about how cool Cable is. No, he's not cool. Everybody who's ever written Cable has come up with 30 or 50 different ideas to what to do with the guy. He first started off as a Terminator, then he became a father figure, then he became a messiah. Yeah, look up the comic Cable Deadpool. It gets pretty absurd and stupid. Look him up on Wikipedia. It just gets laughable, and honestly, he's not that interesting. And in the comics, his powers are completely ill-defined. At one point, he has laser vision. He also has psychic abilities. Also, he has a robot arm. The movie just says, screw all that. He has a robot arm. That's cool enough. Fair. Because Brolin is able to do a lot of really cool action scenes with just that robot arm, and you buy it. You're just having fun. Especially with all the action scenes, which are a definite step up from the first film. The first film had at the helm a director who was primarily engaged in special effects production and a little bit of video game cutscenes. He wasn't really adept at directing live action set pieces. And it also didn't help that he wasn't given a major budget. Here, the budget had been given a little bit more oomph to it, and the director David Leitch definitely brought his A game, featuring some well-timed choreograph, a really balls-to-the-wall car chase, and manages to stick the landing with a pretty decent climax. I would say that the film kind of showed off its hand towards the second middle portion with the aforementioned car chase, which I think is like the centerpiece of the film. Because, yeah, the whole final fight just feels a little bit of a step back, if anything else. But I must confess that the whole complaint about the action is relatively a small complaint on this film compared to the big complaint about the story. I can't get around the fact that this story is a mess. Not even counting the times when the jokes don't land, I think the fact that the story just really doesn't know where it wanted to go. It really felt more like a rushed development than anything else. And it really shows in the big finale, in which something happens there that pretty much undoes everything that you saw before. And it was very odd why the filmmakers thought that this was going to be a good idea. Some people are laughing about it. Some people are a little bit more forgiving than I. I personally left the theater with a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. Not too bad that I can't recommend this film because, yeah, it's funny. It's action-packed. I think it's a good, solid R-rated production if there ever was one. It's certainly not Kingsman 2. I'll say that much. Thank God for that. But because it's also not that lightning in a bottle phenomenon that first film was, I can't say that I would rank this film higher than its predecessor. In certain areas, sure, they made a lot of improvements. But in some really critical areas like the story, it took a notable step back. I hope they do fix that when the third movie comes out, which is probably going to have a little bit of the benefit of Marvel Studios guiding the production, if and when that whole 20th Century Fox Disney merger goes through. We'll see, but I'm not one to conjecture on this show. So for now, I'm going to give Deadpool 2 a 3.5 out of 5 star review. Check it out in the theaters, but me personally, I pay maybe a matinee price, if anything. So my name is Christopher Hadamio, and I will see you at the lobby.